The Galactic Empire's arrival in Earth's solar system was meant to be spectacular. Their fleet of crystalline ships arranged themselves in a perfect geometric pattern, casting prismatic shadows across Earth's surface that drew millions outside to stare at the sky. Supreme Commander Provokes stood on the bridge of the flagship Celestial Dawn, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he observed the tiny blue planet. These humans have no orbital defenses, no unified government, and their technology is centuries behind ours, he noted with satisfaction. This will be the simplest integration yet. The communications officer, Lieutenant Zex, prepared the broadcast systems. All channels are ready. Supreme Commander, we will override their primary communication networks in 30 seconds. Provokes straightened his ceremonial armor, its polished surface reflecting the starlight. The Empire had performed this ceremony 842 times across the galaxy. It was meant to inspire awe, submission, and recognition of the Empire's absolute authority. The broadcast began. Provokes's image appeared on every screen on Earth. Televisions, phones, computers, and public displays. His voice, translated into all Earth languages, resonated with practiced authority. People of Earth, behold the might of the Galactic Empire. For 10,000 years, we have brought order and advancement to the cosmos. Your world has been chosen to. The Supreme Commander paused as something strange appeared in the corner of his broadcast. A small animated image of what appeared to be an Earth feline, dancing in an endless loop. More began to appear. Lieutenant Zex's antenna twitched in confusion. Supreme Commander, the humans are altering our transmission. Impossible, Provokes declared. Our systems are impenetrable. But the evidence was clear as their broadcast became flooded with what humans called memes. Their solemn announcement was being remixed in real time, set to music, and overlaid with commentary. Provokes watched in horror as someone added sparkly effects to his armor and turned his gestures into a dance routine. Within hours, the Empire's first contact message had been transformed into something called a viral sensation. Humans were recreating Provokes's speech with their pets, in their homes, and even underwater. A group of human younglings had choreographed an entire performance, mimicking the Empire fleet's formation, using bicycles and sparklers. In the Empire's command center, analysts struggled to understand the response. Their psychological warfare experts had no protocol for this situation. The humans weren't afraid. They weren't impressed. They were entertained. Perhaps we should demonstrate our military capability, suggested First Strategist Mira, her luminescent skin pulsing with concern. Show them the consequences of disrespect. The humans are already taking bets on what we'll do next, reported Lieutenant Zex, monitoring their information networks. They've started something called a prediction challenge about our next announcement. Provokes stood in silence, watching as humans turned his carefully crafted image of authority into what they called content. Someone had even created a filter that could make anyone look like him, complete with his ceremonial armor and stern expression. It was being used by millions. How do they coordinate these responses so quickly without central authority? Mira wondered aloud. Their society should be chaos, yet they move like a synchronized organism when it comes to these modifications. The Supreme Commander's expression darkened as his staff showed him something called a reaction video, where humans filmed themselves watching his speech. Their laughter felt like tiny daggers in his pride. Send a direct message to their world leaders, Provokes commanded. We will bypass this public chaos and establish proper diplomatic channels. But even as he gave the order, notifications appeared showing the humans had already created historical documentaries about the Empire's first contact attempt, complete with dramatic reenactments and expert commentary on their fashion choices. They were calling it Space Fashion Disaster 2025. As the Earth rotated below them, twinkling with billions of lights and countless screens showing remixed versions of their arrival, the Empire's finest minds faced an uncomfortable reality. Their 10,000 years of diplomatic protocol hadn't prepared them for humanity's capacity to transform intimidation into entertainment. Lieutenant Zex's antenna drooped slightly as another report came in. Supreme Commander, they've just released something called a Best Moments compilation of your speech. It has cat sounds added to it. Velox sank into his command chair. This was going to be more complicated than expected. Master Diplomat Kel prided himself on never failing a negotiation in 3 centuries of service. As he prepared for his descent to Earth, he reviewed reports of the Empire's disastrous first contact, while his attendants adjusted his ceremonial robes. Remember, he instructed his diplomatic team, we must maintain absolute dignity. These humans clearly lack proper respect for authority, but they will learn. His silver scales shimmered as he studied his reflection, ensuring every element of his appearance conveyed power and sophistication. The diplomatic vessel touched down in Geneva, chosen for its historical significance in human diplomatic relations. A crowd had gathered despite the early hour, many holding strange signs with references to something called space TikTok. Kel emerged from his ship with practiced grace, his long robes flowing in the morning breeze. The sight that greeted him was not what he expected. Humans had recreated his ship's design using cardboard boxes, complete with flashing lights made from recycled materials. Children wore makeshift versions of Empire formal wear, crafted from bedsheets and aluminum foil. Greetings, citizens of Earth, he began, his translator converting his words into the local languages. I come bearing. Does anyone want cookies shaped like the Empire's logo? A voice called from the crowd. A human was distributing baked goods that indeed bore a striking resemblance to the Empire's sacred insignia, complete with edible glitter. Kel pressed on, determined to maintain control of the situation. The Galactic Empire extends its formal invitation for Earth to join our grand civilization. Oh my goodness, look at his robes, someone exclaimed. They're perfect for the hashtag Space Royalty Challenge. Within minutes, humans across the globe were wrapping themselves in shimmering fabrics, recreating his outfit with enthusiastic inaccuracy. His carefully prepared speech about the Empire's benevolent authority was soon competing with an impromptu fashion show. Humans had somehow managed to turn Empire formal wear into the latest trend, though their interpretations were far more colorful and included accessories that would make any self-respecting Empire official faint. Back in his temporary embassy, Kel watched in dismay as humans turned his arrival into what they called content. Someone had edited together clips of his walk from the ship with something called catwalk music, adding special effects that made his robes appear to shoot sparkles. Most concerning, reported his cultural analyst, is that they're not just mocking us. They're appreciating us, but not in the way we intended. They've turned our sacred ceremonies into entertainment, but they're genuinely enjoying themselves. Kel's attempts to establish formal diplomatic channels were met with unexpected responses. When he sent a stern message about proper protocols, the humans organized a galactic protocol party, where they deliberately misinterpreted every single Empire custom in increasingly creative ways. The Empire's fearsome military parades were recreated with parades of pets dressed in tinfoil armor. Their sacred oath of allegiance became a popular dance challenge. Even their traditional diplomatic feast was transformed when humans started a cooking competition show called Cooking for the Cosmos. They're impossible to intimidate, Kel muttered, watching as another human video went viral. This one featuring a group recreating the Empire's entire diplomatic court using rubber ducks in tiny robes. His reports back to the Empire became increasingly desperate. The humans appeared to possess some form of psychological immunity to our traditional methods of establishing authority. They transform every display of power into what they call entertainment content, and it spreads faster than we can respond. The final blow to his dignity came when he discovered that his own junior diplomats had started collecting human-made parodies of Empire culture. They were even participating in something called Casual Friday, wearing less formal versions of their ceremonial attire. As Kel prepared another report for Supreme Commander Velox, He noticed his youngest staff member trying to suppress a smile while watching a human video titled, "If Empire Diplomats Were Cats." "What have you learned about human nature?" he asked the young diplomat. "Sir," she replied thoughtfully, "I believe we've discovered why no other species has successfully conquered Earth. The humans don't need to fight us. They simply make it impossible to maintain our sense of superiority." Kell looked out his embassy window at a group of humans recreating Empire diplomatic protocols using interpretive dance. For the first time in his career, he wondered if perhaps the Empire had finally met its match, not through superior firepower, but through the unstoppable force of human creativity. The Empire's military analysts gathered in their strategic chamber aboard the command ship Celestial Dawn, holographic displays showing countless examples of human responses to their presence. General Nexus, the Empire's foremost expert in psychological warfare, paced the room with growing frustration. "Every intimidation tactic we've employed has backfired," she reported, gesturing to the data streams. "When we positioned our dreadnoughts in attack formation, the humans organized a synchronized swooning event, mimicking our ship's movements. They called it Space Ballet. The displays showed civilians in handmade ship costumes performing surprisingly accurate recreations of Empire fleet maneuvers. Someone had even added special effects to make the swimmers appear to be flying through space. Most disturbing," continued Lieutenant Commander Vex, "is their latest trend. He brought up a new hologram showing humans preparing elaborate meals inspired by Empire military rations. They've turned our standard-issue nutrient cubes into something called fusion cuisine." The room watched in collective bewilderment as a human chef demonstrated how to transform the Empire's tasteless survival packets into colorful dishes with names like Stellar Soufflé and Quantum Quitch. The cooking show had already gained millions of followers across Earth's information networks. "Perhaps we should demonstrate our weapons capability," suggested a junior officer, his antenna twitching nervously. "No," General Nexus replied sharply. "They've already started taking bets on what our weapons would look like. There's an entire art competition dedicated to redesigning our laser cannons with what they call aesthetic improvements." The displays shifted to show human artists' interpretations of Empire weaponry, now adorned with unnecessary decorative elements and color schemes that would make any military commander cringe. Some had even added small gardens and coffee dispensers to the design sketches. "Our fearsome insignia," reported another analyst, "has become a popular design element in human fashion." The hologram showed clothing lines featuring stylized versions of the Empire's symbol, often combined with playful elements like cartoon animals or floral patterns. General Nexus watched as humans transformed everything meant to inspire fear into something entertaining. Empire battle cries became popular ringtones. Their ceremonial war drums were being used in something called remix battles. Even their most classified military protocols had been turned into party game themes. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object that insists on turning everything into entertainment? Mused Lieutenant Commander Vex, watching a video of humans recreating Empire military drills using household pets. The situation grew more complex as other species began showing interest in human responses. The Empire's carefully maintained image of absolute authority was eroding as their subjects discovered the joy of creative resistance. "They've weaponized playfulness," General Nexus concluded, studying a report about human children organizing Empire versus Explorers games in parks across Earth. The children playing Empire roles kept breaking character to add dance moves to their marching formations. A junior analyst rushed into the chamber with urgent news. "General, the humans have started a cooking competition. They're challenging each other to prepare dishes that look like our various starship classes." The displays showed an intricate dessert shaped like the Celestial Dawn, complete with working lights made from spun sugar. The creator had even added tiny chocolate figures of crew members having a tea party on the observation deck. "This isn't warfare," General Nexus muttered, watching as humans turned their serious military presence into an endless source of creative inspiration. We can't fight an enemy that refuses to be intimidated and instead turns our power into play. The final report of the day revealed that humans had organized a global event called Empire Appreciation Week. But instead of showing proper reverence, they were celebrating by recreating Empire culture with what they called improvements. "Sir," Lieutenant Commander Vex said quietly, "I believe we need to consider the possibility that our traditional methods of establishing dominance are obsolete against this species." General Nexus stood at the observation window, watching Earth rotate below. Somewhere down there, humans were probably already planning tomorrow's creative interpretations of Empire culture. For the first time in her military career, she wondered if perhaps the humans had discovered the most effective defense of all: the ability to transform fear into joy. "Send word to Supreme Commander Velox," she ordered. "The humans have developed an immunity to intimidation through unprecedented levels of creative adaptation. We need a new strategy." The Empire's most prestigious scholars convened in the Great Library of Celestial Knowledge, their research pods hovering around a central holographic display showing streams of human data. Professor Lyra, head of Xenobehavioral Studies, adjusted her spectral enhancers as she reviewed their latest findings. "The humans have defied every behavioral model in our archives," she announced to her fellow researchers. "When we began studying their military response patterns, we discovered something unprecedented." The hologram shifted to display Earth's space defense fleet. Each ship bore names that made the assembled scholars tilt their heads in confusion. Meme Lord Supreme, Sir Boops a Lot, Professional Silly Goose, and Space Noodle. They turned their most powerful warships into bearers of what they call inside jokes, Professor Lyra explained. Yet their combat effectiveness remains uncompromised. If anything, their crews show higher morale and performance rates. Junior researcher Zix raised a tentative appendage. "We've also noted unusual activities in their defense training programs." The display showed human military personnel participating in what appeared to be dance routines. "They call it Intergalactic Groove Defense," Zix continued. "They claim it improves spatial awareness and team coordination. Most disturbing is that their efficiency ratings have increased by 23% since implementation." The scholars watched in bewilderment as Earth's elite forces performed synchronized movements to upbeat music, their serious combat training interspersed with what humans called dance breaks. Even more confusing was the data showing improved reaction times and unit cohesion. Professor Lyra brought up another display showing Empire merchandise spreading through alien markets. Young officers from various species had begun collecting human-made parodies of Empire culture. The trend was especially popular among the children of high-ranking Empire officials. "Our own youth are becoming influenced," she noted with concern. "Yesterday, I found my research assistant watching human comedy sketches about our traditional ceremonies. She claimed it was research, but she was clearly enjoying them." The display shifted to show a new phenomenon. Humans had started an educational program called Galactic Cultural Exchange through Laughter. Their stated goal was to prove that humor was a universal language, even in interstellar diplomacy. "Most concerning," reported senior scholar Venn, "is their approach to psychological warfare. When we attempted to analyze their weaknesses, we found this." The hologram showed humans organizing what they called improv comedy battles with alien species. "They're building diplomatic relationships through shared laughter," Professor Lyra observed. "Traditional power structures become irrelevant when everyone is participating in their silly activities." The scholars' attention turned to a new report about human entertainment spreading through Empire communications networks. Even their most disciplined officers had begun using Earth references in casual conversation. "Yesterday," admitted junior researcher Zix, "I heard a planetary governor quote something called memes during an official meeting. The truly alarming part was that everyone understood the reference." Professor Lyra studied the data streams, her spectral enhancers picking up patterns that both fascinated and terrified her. Humans weren't just resisting Empire influence. They were actively reshaping how other species viewed authority and interaction. Their strategy, if we can call it that, she concluded, is to make rigid power structures seem absurd through creativity and play. They're not fighting our influence. They're transforming it into something entirely new. The final analysis of the day revealed that Empire cultural programs were experiencing record low attendance, while human entertainment channels had waiting lists across the galaxy. Species that had never cooperated were now bonding over shared appreciation of Earth's creative approach to existence. "Professor," asked a young scholar, "how do we maintain control when our subjects are too busy laughing together to fear us?" Before she could answer, a notification appeared showing that humans had just launched a new program called Space Diplomacy Through Desserts, teaching alien species to create Empire-themed treats while discussing cultural understanding. Professor Lyra watched as centuries of carefully maintained Empire authority began dissolving into something far more chaotic yet strangely harmonious. Perhaps, she mused, the humans have discovered something we've missed in all our millennia of civilization: the power of finding joy in the absurd. She made her final note of the day. Human laughter may be the most sophisticated weapon we've ever encountered. The Empire's central communications hub aboard the starship Celestial Dawn buzzed with unprecedented activity. Communications Director Saren stared at the swirling data streams with a mixture of fascination and horror as human social media platforms spread through their carefully controlled networks like wildfire. "It started with something called Spacebook," she reported to her staff. "Now we have Galactic, Stellar Stories, and StarChat spreading across 17 star systems." Her crystalline display showed millions of alien users sharing what humans called content. The latest trends sweeping across Empire space involved citizens recreating formal Empire ceremonies with unexpected twists. A group of Proxima colonists had organized a flash mob during a planetary governor's speech, performing what they called the Imperial Shuffle. "Most concerning," reported Junior Communications Officer Trix, "is the spread of human entertainment formats. The displays showed alien children participating in Empire's Got Talent shows, often performing startlingly accurate parodies of Empire protocols. Saren watched as a recording of the Empire's most recent formal ceremony competed for viewership with a human-inspired performance called Empire Ceremonies, but Make It Fun. The unofficial version had 10 times more viewers and featured synchronized dancing, costume changes, and something humans called crowd surfing. The Empire's messaging strategy has become compromised, she admitted, observing how their official broadcasts were being automatically remixed with human music and shared across networks. Every announcement we make becomes what they call a trending topic for all the wrong reasons. A notification chimed, indicating another viral phenomenon. Alien younglings across the galaxy had started a challenge called Dress Like an Empire Official, but Add Sparkles. The resulting images showed thousands of participants wearing bedazzled versions of traditional Empire uniforms. "Director," called out Senior Analyst Fox, "you need to see this." The main screen displayed footage from an Empire colony world where citizens had organized their own version of a human television show called Empire's Kitchen. Contestants competed to prepare elaborate dishes while acting out overly dramatic versions of Empire mannerisms. Saren's antenna drooped as she watched Empire culture transform into entertainment. Their sacred traditions were being shared alongside reaction videos, comedy sketches, and something called meme compilations. "We're losing control of our narrative," she realized. The humans have introduced a form of communication that turns everything into shared experiences and fun. The situation escalated when several Empire worlds requested their own entertainment divisions, inspired by Earth's creative approach to information sharing. Even their most loyal colonies were producing what they called content creators. "Yesterday," reported Officer Trix, a mining colony launched their own channel called Empire Life Hacks. They're teaching people how to modify standard issue equipment to be more comfortable and aesthetically pleasing. The displays showed tutorials on adding cushions to regulation seating, decorating military-grade water dispensers, and turning emergency ration containers into decorative planters. Each video ended with the creators performing unofficial Empire salutes while winking at the camera. Saren studied the engagement metrics with growing concern. Traditional Empire broadcasts about order and compliance were being overwhelmed by user-generated content celebrating creativity and individual expression. Even our own staff is being affected, noted analyst Vox, gesturing to several junior officers who were discreetly watching something called Best Empire Moments Compilation. Try Not to Laugh Challenge. The final report of the day revealed that human-style social networks had achieved something unprecedented. Species that had been historical enemies were now bonding over shared jokes about Empire formality. Director asked a young communications officer, "Should we try to restrict these networks?" Saren watched as another Empire ceremony was transformed into what humans called a viral sensation. This time, someone had added playful animations to the officials' movements, turning their solemn procession into what appeared to be a dance party. "It's too late," she replied, observing how quickly the modified version spread across star systems. "The humans have introduced something more powerful than our control systems. They've taught the galaxy how to laugh together." She composed her report to Supreme Commander Provokes with a heavy heart. The Empire's communication strategy has been fundamentally disrupted by human influence. They've weaponized social connection and joy, and we have no defense against it. The High Council chamber of the Galactic Empire had never witnessed such an unusual petition. Representatives from 12 star systems stood before the council, their formal robes adorned with what appeared to be handcrafted accessories inspired by human fashion trends. High Counselor Nexer adjusted his ceremonial collar, trying to maintain dignity as the delegation spokesperson. Governor Yix of the Centauri colonies cleared her throat. "Most esteemed council," she began, "we formally request the establishment of entertainment and cultural exchange divisions across Empire space, with Earth as our primary advisor." The chamber erupted in murmurs. On the massive display screens surrounding them, footage played of various worlds' attempts at human-style creative expression. A prestigious military academy had transformed its graduation ceremony into what they called a flash mob performance. The students had maintained perfect precision, while adding what humans called dance breaks to their traditional drills. "This is unprecedented," Nexer responded, watching as more evidence of human cultural influence appeared on the screens. "The Empire has maintained order through proper protocols for 10,000 years." "Yes," Governor Yix agreed, "but have we maintained joy?" She gestured to a live feed showing an Empire mining colony's recreation of a human television show called Empire's Next Top Administrator. Contestants competed to perform administrative duties with what they termed dramatic flair. The council watched in mixed horror and fascination as their carefully structured society transformed. Empire citizens had begun organizing creativity workshops, led by human instructors. Traditional ceremonies were being reinvented with what humans called audience participation segments. "Most concerning," reported Security Director Vel, "is the spread of human diplomatic methods." The screen showed footage of a recent conflict resolution between two traditionally hostile species. Instead of formal negotiations, they had organized a joint comedy performance addressing their grievances through humor. They solved a century-old trade dispute with something called improvised theater, Vel admitted, his antenna twitching with confusion. Both parties left laughing and signed an expanded trade agreement. High Counselor Nexer observed the transformation spreading through their territory. Empire citizens weren't just copying human entertainment. They were adapting it to their own cultures in ways that somehow made their societies more stable, not less. Yesterday, Governor Yix continued, "My colony's productivity increased 12% after we implemented what humans call Fun Friday. Our workers are more efficient when they're allowed to express creativity." The evidence was undeniable. Worlds that had embraced human-style creative expression were showing improved cooperation, innovation, and satisfaction. Even their most rigid institutions were being transformed from within. "The humans have taught us something remarkable. A council member noted, watching citizens from different species collaborate on entertainment projects. They've shown us that authority doesn't have to be maintained through distance and formality. The chamber's attention turned to a live transmission from Earth, where humans were conducting workshops on diplomatic relations through creative expression. Empire citizens were learning to resolve conflicts through shared creative projects, turning potential unrest into opportunities for connection. Consider, Governor Yix pressed, that not a single world that has adopted human entertainment principles has reported civil unrest in the past month. They're too busy creating together to fight. High Counselor Nexer studied the data streams. Empire worlds were organizing cultural festivals, collaborative art projects, and something called interstellar talent shows. Species that once barely tolerated each other were now enthusiastically sharing creative ideas. Perhaps, he mused, watching an Empire military parade transform into a joyous celebration when someone started playing human music, we've discovered something unexpected about maintaining order. The final presentation showed Empire citizens across multiple worlds participating in a synchronized dance event. They had maintained perfect imperial formation, while adding what humans called personal flair, creating something both structured and spontaneous. The galaxy is changing, Governor Yix concluded. We can either resist this transformation or learn to lead it. The humans have shown us that joy and order aren't opposites. They're partners in creating something greater than either alone. Nexer looked at his fellow council members, seeing in their expressions the same realization he had reached. The Empire hadn't been defeated by human weapons or technology, but by something far more powerful, the irresistible appeal of creative freedom guided by wisdom. Very well, he announced. Let us prepare to enter this new era. With style, of course. Supreme Commander Velox stood before the Empire's assembled leadership in the Grand Hall of Celestial Harmony, his once intimidating ceremonial armor now adorned with subtle artistic elements inspired by human design principles. The past months had taught them all some unexpected lessons. We gathered here today, he began, watching his words automatically appear on social media feeds across the galaxy, to acknowledge a fundamental change in how we view authority and cooperation. The massive screens surrounding the hall displayed scenes from across Empire space. A former military training facility had been transformed into what humans called a creative leadership academy. Officers learned to lead through inspiration rather than intimidation, their training including courses like dynamic problem-solving through improvisation. When the humans first responded to our arrival with laughter, Velox continued, we thought they were mocking our power. Now we understand they were teaching us about a different kind of strength. Professor Lyra stepped forward, her research team's findings displayed in creative infographics that would have been considered undignified just months ago. Worlds that have adopted human-style creative expression show a 40% increase in innovation and a 60% decrease in civil unrest. The displays showed Empire citizens participating in intergalactic idea festivals, where different species collaborated on solutions to shared challenges. They maintained Empire efficiency while adding what humans called creative flair. Most remarkable, reported General Nexus, her tactical uniform now featuring tasteful artistic elements, is the transformation in our defense forces. The screen showed military units incorporating human-style team-building exercises, their precision enhanced rather than diminished by the addition of creative elements. Yesterday, she added, our elite squadron won an interstellar competition by performing their drills as what humans call a musical number. Their timing and coordination were perfect. The assembled leaders watched footage of Empire worlds embracing their new identity. Traditional ceremonies had evolved to include audience participation. Official communications now featured elements of storytelling and humor. Even their most serious institutions had learned to balance dignity with joy. The humans offered to teach us their methods, Velox announced, gesturing to a delegation of Earth's entertainment and diplomatic experts. They call it the art of joyful leadership. The screen showed training sessions where Empire officials learned to communicate more effectively through creative expression. They maintained their authority while adding what humans termed personality to their interactions. Consider, Professor Lyra interjected, that our most successful diplomatic missions now include what humans call icebreaker activities. Last week, we resolved a complex trade dispute through a collaborative cooking competition. The evidence was clear in the data streams. Empire worlds that had once competed for military dominance now organized creative challenges. Species that had been historical rivals collaborated on entertainment projects, their shared laughter building stronger bonds than any treaty. "We haven't lost our power," General Nexus observed, watching recordings of military units performing synchronized maneuvers that somehow incorporated dance elements without losing their precision. "We've discovered a new kind of strength." The final presentation showed the transformation of Empire space. Their once rigid society had become a vibrant tapestry of creative expression guided by wisdom. Citizens maintained order while celebrating individuality, creating something unprecedented in galactic history. The humans, Provokes concluded, taught us that true authority doesn't fear laughter. It embraces the joy of creation and growth. As if to emphasize his point, the ceremony was interrupted by an impromptu performance from a group of young officers. They had organized what they called a flash mob, demonstrating perfect Empire precision, while adding creative elements that made everyone smile. "We stand at the beginning of a new era," Provokes announced, watching as his words were already being remixed and shared across social networks. "The Empire will continue to lead, but now we lead through inspiration rather than intimidation." The assembled leaders rose as one, performing the traditional Empire salute with subtle personal variations that somehow made it more meaningful, not less. Above them, the screens showed similar scenes playing out across their territory, citizens maintaining order while celebrating creativity. Professor Lyra made her final note of the day. Perhaps the humans' greatest gift wasn't teaching us to laugh, but showing us how to lead with both wisdom and joy. In the Grand Hall, the ceremony concluded with something unprecedented: spontaneous applause, genuine smiles, and the sense that they had discovered something far more powerful than fear: the strength of shared joy. 5 years after humanity's first contact with the Galactic Empire, the Grand Assembly Hall on Earth's newly constructed Stellar Cultural Center hosted an unprecedented celebration. Representatives from every Empire world gathered to commemorate what historians now called the Creative Revolution. Supreme Commander Provokes, his ceremonial armor now featuring elegantly painted constellations, stood beside Earth's diplomatic team. The former symbol of Imperial might had become one of the galaxy's most popular cultural ambassadors, known for ending his speeches with what humans called dad jokes. When we first arrived on Earth, he addressed the assembled crowd. We expected to find another world to add to our collection. Instead, we found teachers who showed us a better way to lead. The massive holographic displays showed scenes from across the transformed Empire. The former military academy on Centauri Prime had become the galaxy's premier creative leadership institute, where officials learned to balance authority with authenticity. Their graduation ceremonies now featured what humans called talent showcases. Most remarkable, noted Professor Lyra, presenting her latest research, is how creativity has enhanced rather than diminished administrative efficiency. The displays showed various worlds where traditional Empire protocols had been infused with human-style innovation, creating systems that were both orderly and engaging. In one sector, a former battleship had been converted into a traveling cultural center, hosting performances and workshops as it moved between worlds. Its crew, once trained for combat, now specialized in what they called emergency joy response, using creativity to resolve conflicts before they escalated. Yesterday, reported Governor Yix, her formal robes now featuring hand-painted elements from every world she governed, we celebrated the 1,000th graduation from our Intergalactic Entertainment Academy. The students performed their final examinations as a synchronized zero-gravity ballet. The assembly watched footage of the performance, where beings from different species moved in perfect harmony, combining Empire precision with creative expression. Their movements told stories of unity and growth, demonstrating how art could transcend biological differences. The humans, General Nexus observed, her tactical visor now displaying peaceful animations, taught us that strength comes in many forms. Our military units now train in both combat and creative problem-solving. Last month, they prevented a resource war through an improvised musical performance. The screens showed the incident, elite troops diffusing tension between mining colonies by organizing an impromptu talent show. The disputed territory had become a cultural heritage site, with both sides collaborating on artistic projects. Perhaps our greatest achievement, Velox continued, is the transformation of our communication networks. The displays showed the galaxy-wide social media platforms where citizens shared ideas and celebrations across species boundaries. Even the most serious announcements now included elements of storytelling and gentle humor. In the diplomatic sector, negotiation rooms have been redesigned to include creative spaces. Traditional conference tables could transform into stages for collaborative performances. The most successful mediators were those who could balance dignity with what humans called thinking outside the box. 5 years ago, Professor Lyra reminded everyone, we thought Earth's response to our arrival was a sign of weakness. Now we understand it was an invitation to evolve. The celebration reached its peak as representatives from every world participated in what had become a galactic tradition, the Great Unity Performance. Each species contributed elements from their own cultures, creating something that was both carefully coordinated and wonderfully spontaneous. Velox watched as his former military commanders performed alongside Earth's entertainment experts, their movements telling the story of how fear had transformed into friendship. The once rigid empire had become a creative force that inspired rather than intimidated. The humans didn't defeat us, he concluded, watching young officers teach alien children how to combine empire marching steps with dance moves. They showed us how to become something greater than we ever imagined. As the celebration continued, news arrived from distant sectors, more worlds requesting to join what was now called the Creative Alliance. They weren't drawn by displays of power, but by the promise of belonging to a civilization that valued both order and joy. Professor Lyra made her final entry in the historical records. In seeking to conquer Earth, we discovered something far more valuable than territory. We found the key to genuine leadership. The humans taught us that the greatest power isn't the ability to control, but the wisdom to inspire. The galaxy had indeed changed, and as the celebration reached its final, no one doubted that it had changed for the better.